We received this 10-foot outdoor trampoline from a seller, and putting it together turned into a real family project for my husband and boys. It's a heavy-duty trampoline, ASTM approved, so right off the bat, that gave me some peace of mind knowing it's actually meeting real safety standards and not just some flimsy backyard toy. They laid out all the pieces first so they could see exactly what they were working with, and honestly, seeing everything spread out across the yard was a little intimidating at first. The frame itself is solid, thick metal poles, nothing that felt cheap or like it would bend under real use. They worked through it piece by piece, connecting the legs to the frame, making sure everything was level before moving forward, because the last thing you want is a wobbly trampoline once kids start jumping on it. The springs probably took the most time, honestly, hooking each one into place around the frame to attach to the jumping mat, and there were a lot of them. So this was definitely a 2 to 3 person job. Once the mat was fully attached and all the springs were in place, you could already tell this thing was built to handle real repeated use, not just a season or two before it started sagging or losing its bounce. It took some real time and effort to get to this point, but everything lined up the way it was supposed to, and there weren't any confusing steps or missing parts along the way, which honestly made the whole process feel manageable, even though it was clearly a big project. Next came the Enclosure Net, which honestly ended up being the longer, more involved part of the whole setup. This net is what keeps everyone contained safely on the trampoline instead of bouncing off the edge into the yard. So getting it set up correctly really mattered to us. They started by attaching the poles that hold the net upright around the perimeter of the trampoline, making sure each one was securely locked into place before moving to the next. Then came actually threading and securing the netting itself around each pole, working their way slowly around the entire circle to make sure there weren't any gaps or loose sections that a kid could squeeze through or get tangled in. This part took patience, there's no way around that, but every step was clearly laid out so it never felt like they were guessing or improvising their way through it. They double and triple checked every connection point once we were done, tugging on different sections of the net to make sure everything was actually secure and not just loosely attached. Safety was the biggest thing on my mind through this whole part of the process, especially knowing we'd have our kids and probably the neighborhood kids jumping on this thing regularly. Once the net was fully up and secured all the way around, it gave the whole trampoline this finished professional look, like something you'd see at an actual park rather than a random backyard setup. Standing back and looking at the whole thing fully assembled after all that work was such a satisfying moment, especially knowing every single connection had been checked and rechecked before we even let the kids anywhere near it. And then it was finally time for the best part. The kids ran straight for it the second it was finished, and watching them jump around, bouncing off their energy, and laughing without a single worry about the net or the frame holding up made every bit of that setup time completely worth it. The trampoline handled the movement so well. No unexpected wobbling, no concerning creaks, just solid, steady bouncing, exactly like you'd want from something that's built for real repeated use. Getting a closer look at the trampoline now that it's fully set up, you can really see the quality in the stitching on the mat, the thickness of the frame, and how tightly everything is put together. For a backyard trampoline, this genuinely looks and feels like it was built to last through years of jumping and not just one summer. We are super excited about this, and this is a product I would definitely recommend to my friends.